It's Corona time.
Now, I know that some of us have doubts about what we're about to do. We'd be less than human if we didn't. But the fate of the nation, perhaps the world, is in our hands. We cannot, we dare not refuse this burden. I'm confident that each of you will do his duty. God forgive us.
There you are!
Welcome to Happy Hour. I am one of your hosts anyway, Curtis Taylor, and you can see there at the top we've got Jason Hendrick, and down at the bottom of my screen and your screen too as you're watching this is Joby Yobi. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. 420 edition.
420 edition. Do our faithful following get the intro song, or do we need to sing again like last week?
They did not get the intro song, as I'm stressing out about trying to get this thing to also stream live to Facebook.
Well, it feels like the last 2 weeks, Curtis, that the technology has been quarantining itself as well.
There's been a certain amount of that, but I figured on any given day for things to just relax and be chilled, today was probably the best day for us to do that.
The significance, actually, technically, this whole month is 420 month, if you really want to just go big. And coincidentally, it's quarantine month, so it's just kind of all falling into place.
Well, in line with regulations and that, even though I'm with myself, I'm only one person in my home studio right now, I still sanitized my hands. I still did all the necessary precautions before I jumped on this call, because you don't know what kind of virus we could spread, be it internet virus, real virus. I'm just trying to take as many precautions as I can these days. I even shaved my head down. I got rid of any extraneous follicles that may have some kind of, who knows what's there.
I don't know what's next. Next week, Jason's going to be completely bald. It just keeps evolving.
And if he was going to go completely bald, this would have been the week to do it. And I'm just thinking of Super Troopers, when they shave his head and they throw him in the shower and they're delousing him with powdered sugar.
Sweetest delousing ever.
Sweetest delousing ever.
Yeah, so I only knew that they were delousing him from Shawshank Redemption. That's the only way that I knew that that's what was happening in that movie.
Right. So I haven't watched it.
I was going to ask if you thought they were antiquing him instead.
Right.
Speaking of those guys, they have like a fire department show, right? It's like Tahoe.
Right.
And then the guys from Bruise. Have you guys watched Bruise Brothers yet?
No.
Yeah, that was a recommendation from one of our.
I know it is recommended. I gotta watch. Admittedly, I have not watched it yet, but it looks.
Shout out to longtime supporter Jake Bassett for that.
Jake Bassett, yes. And longtime supporter and unofficial winner of This Ride Sucks several times. World's fastest man from OBC.
Moved out to some beautiful beer country as well. He's out in Mammoth these days.
Yeah.
Enjoying Mammoth's lovely brews.
Not a bad place to be quarantined.
Well, as we were looking at calendars and pulling up on 420, it just seemed like that's what we needed to focus on today, as getting away from maybe quarantine talk for a little bit, and as somebody, I don't know if there's anyone more of a novice than me, but and I'm certainly not qualified to lead this conversation on the herb, as I hear that kids are calling it these days.
There you go, jokes.
Just the fact that you called it that, I think, disqualifies you.
I'm glad you said that, though, because to chime in, none of us on this show actually smoke or partake of the weed, as far as I know. I mean,
that's right.
He speak for himself. But I do feel loosely related with having such an affinity for the beer world and hops being in the cannabis family. I feel like that cousin that got married into the family. I wasn't actually in the bloodline, but I am a close proximity thereof.
What, by default, by drinking hops?
Correct.
That's good. Well, I mean, I am not ashamed to say that I am a former partaker. And I got out of it before all of these scientists got involved, and it's too bad because it looks like a lot more fun now and a lot more, what's it called? you can choose your experience now. That was not the case when I was
I
young.
imagine the marketing and the identification of said strains is a lot more fun now these days as well. Much more creative in the naming of the weed varietals.
Yeah. And by the way, if you call it the weed or herb, then you are also now aging yourself.
Don't let the short hair fool you. I'm older than I look.
I like to partake of the weed.
Yes. Does anybody have the weed? But
At some point, I'm gonna have to blame it on needing to fix my glaucoma.
there's definitely a tie-in though, because I know there was probably a lot of it. Well, not a lot. Lagunitas comes to mind. Let's just talk about Lagunitas, having gone there and their whole culture of weed. And I think those guys, I remember walking into the control room where they make all the beer and it just smelled like weed. And I think they didn't care. I mean, Curtis, you talked about Undercover Shutdown. That was the beer where they actually they got in trouble for having some weed or something on there, which wasn't a surprise because I think everybody knew that they smoked weed at Lagunitas.
Mhm.
And then it turned out to be the greatest thing for them, right? Because they remodeled or they came out better than they were.
Well, you got to go to the OG brewery, but even at their Chicago plant, like the permeation of that culture emblazoned across all of their walls and decor. And
Let's see, there's rolling papers behind me. The Waldo's. Today is the Waldo's release, which is a really good beer.
Bar top from one of our.
It might be. I remember we had a little swag bag with those rolling papers.
There was one
Waldo's
swag bag
is
one
good.
year that they did the Twinkies, is it not?
That may be. So the Waldo's was it's like 11%. It's a triple IPA. It's tasty. I actually regret not having one in front of me right now. I thought about it too late. I did. It's these days. It's not like I'm gonna run out to the store. It doesn't feel the same. But yeah, I was like,
beers on a whim these days. You got
hey,
to you need a strategy.
you need to prepare. You need to go to an institution like Curtis and be ready.
I'm actually having a sanitation vapor put up above my door so that as I open the door, I walk through. It's like going through one of those cleansing rooms before you get into a technology facility or some kind of medical facility.
Yeah.
Sort of a sci-fi thing where you walk into the airlock and everybody gets sprayed down, and then you walk in, right?
Well, you got to take proper precautions these days.
Is that the one where you got to put your hands up, you got to put your arms up, and then it's like do a 360 or 180, whatever, and then you come in. I was pulling up some. I think there is a crossover. You know, what's funny? The big beer world, like the ABs and these guys, they really actually thought that weed was gonna infringe on people going to bars and like sales of beer. What do you guys think about that? I mean, do you think people, given the choice now, because now there's so many choices. I mean, think back when you turned 21, the choices of things that were out there to. I know Curtis is thinking way back.
I don't know about my gut feeling says that it's not going to have that big of an impact. So of course there's going to be people who prefer the low-cal version, of the weed, and then as opposed to the 200 calories of beer that I'm enjoying, 3 or 4 of them here as we're sitting over the course of this evening. But I'm just trying to think of your productivity, and there's going to be people who are worried about productivity, and after 3 beers we can still carry on a conversation and produce a podcast, whereas I can't imagine that
there may be some of the weed that lets you do that too, though.
Well, I think I would have to build up a tolerance for that, and in being a father, I don't know if I have the freedom right now to do that.
Well, I think until we see like a weed bar, like a place where you could go and like what is it, coffee shop like they have in Amsterdam, like they were not
going to. My head was going because I can't envision it replacing the bar, but I could see some kind of crossover or hybrid, collaboration where it's basically a smoke joint or like a cigar type of store, but with taps and with beer available. Where if we get to the point where it's that just blatant in the public, you could actually have a facility where it's kind of like hanging out, like an old style lounge.
You could sell a lot of munchies. I mean, you would definitely go through.
We're going to get into that in the core segment too. I pulled up a couple of lists from some interesting websites. I would have to say I snack on a lot of these items even without being high. So I can't imagine myself being high. There would be nothing left in the cupboards based on these lists.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, well, so it's not supposed to mix. So that's kind of the funny thing, right? You could have like a weed place with alcohol, and I think there's one only. I think it's in Santa Monica or West LA, and you can actually, like, it's a restaurant where they bring you like a little assortment of stuff, and you can smoke and order food, and but yeah, I don't know. I imagine, like, I don't know. I feel like it'd be a really quiet place. Like, it wouldn't be like a bar where you walk in all loud. It'd be like the complete opposite. You just walk in, you're like, oh, okay, everybody's quiet. I get it.
I think that's part of why I envisioned this, kind of like a cognac lounge. Or there's this place in Indianapolis we used to go to where you actually walk downstairs. It was in a level underneath a couple of the primary buildings off the circle. It was super cool and chill, almost speakeasy style, big leather chairs. At the time, you could smoke cigars, you get a cocktail, and just hang out, listen to a little music. I could see us going that direction.
Well, I'd gone into there's a dispensary in Venice, right on. I'm trying to think of what it is. It's the really hip sort of shopping.
Like Abbot Kinney or something.
Abbot Kinney, right?
You know how Chris is trying to work his way around, like, I remember where it's at. But if you look at his Google Maps,
It was like some kind of shop.
I went in.
Your Google Maps has it as a default, like a go-to favorite.
It was one of these. It was a surreal experience because I knew that this was how. I mean, I had a feeling. I didn't know. I had a feeling that the only way that this is going to become legitimate is if they can make this a Genius bar, an
Right.
Apple Genius bar kind of experience. And when you walk in, everything's under glass. There's iPads everywhere. There's people walking around asking you for help. All this.
Yeah.
As soon as and I was, because I have no idea what I'm looking at. They're coming up and saying, "Hey, can we help you?" And I'm like, "Oh, dude, no."
You have the weed.
The weed. I'm looking for the weed. I'm wondering, do you got any?
They take you to the old guy section. It's like the lightest weed they have. Like, oh, sir, right over here.
Yeah, this stuff over here.
Low alcohol. This is the low alcohol version of. This is the Pilsner and the lager section. Here you go.
If you want a good example of that, actually, I got hooked on this show called Kidding from Showtime. It's with, oh my God, why am I blanking out? Jim Carrey. And in season 2, there's an episode where he has to go on medical marijuana. He goes into a shop like that where his partner, his buddy, is like, "Hey, this person's really important. Can we clear the room?" All the guests are removed that are already in there, and it's very clean and sterile. All the cases are lined up like you're talking about. And he starts going through the offerings. He's like, "I don't want to smoke anything though." She goes, "No problem. You don't have to smoke anything." She walks away, comes back, this whole lineup of like edibles and tea. They've got this fancy tea that he could steep. Might be in line with what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, see, I think that's what I was talking about earlier was the unfairness of the timelines, right? I feel like we were good because we didn't have a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, I'm really glad that there's no social media from my 20s out there. I mean, that's for sure. So there's that. But then I just think about, like, if I turn 21 right now, the offerings of just craft beer, and then everything's craft and artisanal, and it's like it's just. To quote, what's it called, Three Amigos, is a plethora of available items. Like, it's just crazy.
And people get hooked on the concept of it, like the what would you call I'm blanking out. The words right there. I feel like I'm high right now because I can't get my words out of my mouth. But Joby, you and I know of an individual who all they focused on was, I got to drink craft beer. I got to drink craft beer before they were 21. Yeah. And that's all they talked about. Like, oh, it's got to be craft. When I turned 21, I went out to my local bar with my uncles and my dad and drank Miller Lite, for Christ's sake. Basic beer. And like you said, kind of that just entry level to, hey, now you're quote unquote a man or whatever you want to throw on that.
Yeah, that's why I feel it's unfair because we just had to get whatever we could get. And now you can select. You have a selection. I feel like I have too much selection, but you have a selection of stuff that you can.
Curtis, tell me if I'm wrong, but we also had to climb uphill both ways to get to school, and in the snow, killing a deer on the way. So
I thought it was a really cute story that Jason waited till he's 21 before he had a beer. So
And that's the first time we all had a beer.
my mom's watching.
That was the first time. Right. But yeah. Was that place you went to, Curtis? Was that called like MedMen or something?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw that they have one. I think they have one in Vegas too. But I've always wanted to go there because I heard it's like an Apple store. Right? It's like the Genius Bar. These guys have figured out a way to make it to make diapers. But we have a bunch in our neighborhood. I mean, in our neck of the woods, we have Port Hueneme, Ojai. I think Ventura still doesn't have. I don't know if Camarillo has anything yet.
Not that I know of.
I feel like it's a little too sleepy still to have.
A little too pale still for that to go by, like the owners that be of the city anyway.
Yeah, those that control. But you reminded me when you said you walked in. I remember going to Amsterdam when I was a lot younger, and we walked into these coffee shop places, and they know that you're a tourist like right away, right? And so you don't know what you're supposed to say. You know, you're like, okay, how do I ask for it? What do I say to get? You're trying to figure it out, yeah. And then they know what you're trying to say, and they just point down and they turn on a light, and it just lit up this little counter. It wasn't like fancy like the Genius Bar, but it was just like a little counter that was lit up, and they're just like, yeah, what do you want? Like, pick it, you know, like, oh, okay, that's how easy it is. All right.
Yeah, basically they're telling you get on with it. We've got other customers.
Yeah, like, okay, we get it. You don't know what you're supposed to be doing, but this is here. And just hurry up. And now I heard that they don't want tourists to come to the red light district anymore and partake and do all this stuff.
Some of these days, Joby, we're going to have to get Jorgito on as a guest and bring the presence and the persona of the Jorgito into this. But I'm just like seeing you and George on a trip together. I can imagine how he would act in a location like that. Can you do you have any stories about Jorgito in terms of like going to Amsterdam or getting caught, you know?
Yes.
Trying to make a selection?
Please share with us.
Yeah, right. But it's just funny because you're just like, we are here to buy. Oh, you guys want weed? Like, say it. Right. And now to imagine you can just walk into a shop right here locally, and hopefully not say the weed or herb or something. We should walk in and just say that, like, you guys got the weed? Like, are you guys cops? Like, it's legal, man.
Yeah. You're not going to bust us. This is not a sting anymore. Where have you been? Just walking in, smooth. Oh,
and I love that they were classified as essential. I really love that. Like, they fell under the essential businesses, so that's cool. I mean, I would agree.
Self-medicating.
Yeah.
All right, should we take a break here? We'll cut out this first segment, come back in. So we're going to, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about munchies, of course, because it doesn't matter whether you're high or you're just in the middle of the afternoon, munchies are always a good thing.
I'm a regular snacker. I'm an abuser of the snack cabinet.
Yes, I can see.
I would have to agree with that. I love my snacks too.
Right. So I'm just looking at, so we're streaming live on YouTube. So anyone who's listening to this after the fact, make sure that you are following us on Facebook. You can find out when all of our shows are. In general, we're Monday nights starting around 7:30. Go for an hour and a half or so. But on the YouTube page, there is a place for comments, so you can comment into that. We're also monitoring the Facebook pages. So for those of you who are listening live, you want to give us some comments, tell us about your favorite snacks. I say, let's hear it, because I think ours are all going to revolve around microwave Totinos, right?
You'd be surprised. There's a couple on this list.
Maybe I'm the only. Maybe I'm the only
trouble with your friend.
Totino right out of the freaking oven, like out of the microwave, and just melt all the way through my mouth. But we'll get to that when we come back from the break.
You're listening to Happy Hour.
All right, welcome back to Happy Hour. We are in the middle of conversations. We were just ranting and raving about the the foibles, the predicaments of owning businesses and not being able to either find trash bins or recycle bins in this time. One of the things I remember seeing just in I can't remember, it was in some article, but it was talking about how there's all of these articles that say, ooh, here's the next set of people you never thought about that are getting hurt. Like, we're all getting fucking hurt by this. Every business is going down, right? But garbage collectors are going down because with the stores not open, they don't need garbage, right? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, they're still...
Yeah.
I'm thinking that households are producing more garbage now.
Right. And I'm thinking of the Tony Soprano waste management thing. Like, I don't think they're hurting, right?
Yeah. I think they're doing okay. There's still plenty of trash being generated in my home right now. And, you know, everything is a crisis when the media makes it a crisis. If we want to go that direction, I work in the food business. Joby, you know, selling food, used to work with Joby in terms of a restaurant producing food. There's numerous meat producers who are closing the doors right now, either because they have to, or because in terms of like staff having the virus, or because they just can't make it right now because volume is down. But of course, now there's a meat shortage because some of the meat processors have closed. There's a meat shortage. And I saw a funny posting where one of my friends was like, hey, there wasn't a toilet paper shortage until the media said there was, and everybody rushed out to buy all the fucking toilet paper. There's still meat available. Just because the plant closed doesn't mean all of a sudden there's no more meat left. Like, there's still stuff in the market. So we got to be careful with the hype.
Yeah, and good luck finding meat. Going to a grocery store and finding it now because of that.
Yeah, so I haven't read into it yet. I only saw the headline, and I'm guilty of reading the headline and not reading further today for some reason. But the headline was, "We may run out of CO2 for beer," and that was it. So that one hits home, Jason.
How are we gonna run out of CO2? If I need to buy a bag of
let me look at
balloons off of the Amazon and exhale every time into the balloon to capture CO2, like what?
I don't know. Maybe because all the places are going to close down, and just like the meat plants, like, right?
I'm not buying it. There's no shortage of beer right now. There's no shortage of chips.
There's a lot of beer out there, but there might not be CO2 for this beer.
And there's still a lot of chips and snacks out there, which is what we were talking about going into the break. So I'm not terribly concerned about withering away at this point because I'm going to be fine. Number one on the list, one of the lists I found. So I was looking through numerous lists of like top 10, top 25 snacks when you're high, things you need to be eating.
Wait, you need to be eating?
Yes. A couple of them are like, so this one right now, I'm looking at Indie88.com, the top 10 all-time munchies to eat when you're high.
All time, man.
And on the top of the list, I totally agree. They went flavor specific, but I'll tell you, I've never met a flavor of Dorito I haven't liked. You got to have the Doritos close at hand.
Are you the one that said there was a Mountain Dew Doritos?
I am. There has been. In Australia, they did release a Mountain Dew flavored Dorito. If you look up Dorito flavors, there's all kinds of cool flavors out in the rest of the world that are not released in the United States. I don't understand. We're supposed to be the most wealthy, most entitled nation in the world. Why don't we get all the flavors of Doritos? Why are we being limited on our flavor exploration?
So is Doritos in general number one, or does it say a specific?
This site says nacho cheese Doritos, but I personally...
Pretty good. Original. That's original, man.
It is original. And if you want to go old school, I like the original packaging as well. You got to go with the old school graphic.
Wasn't the original, was it taco flavor or was it nacho flavor?
Taco flavor is up there too. Yep.
Cool Ranch. I'm sorry. Cool Ranch.
Oh, I used to fill bags of Cool Ranch. I was so excited when Taco Bell came out with the flavored shells. Like that was a genius move at the time. I love the fiery style. I love the crispiness and the flavor combinations of Doritos. And when you get done with the bag and you look down, you got all these beautiful colored specks on your fingers full of seasoning and flavoring. Doritos are top notch, baby.
Doritos are. I mean, they have the crunch. They have the flavors.
How do you feel about sweet chili?
Sweet chili Doritos?
Yeah.
I had that one. Is that the purple package? What package?
The purple bag. Yeah, Joey knows his Doritos.
I just pulled up. So I was looking for the OG Doritos bag, and it is a mid-century modern Playland. It's got all these blocks that are like that, and it says Doritos on
Yeah.
it. You can find. In fact, I'm looking at it right now on eBay. That bag of chips, taco flavor, for $6.25. So anyone who's interested in getting the retro, I'm
Throwback though. I thought they had a throwback.
I'm guessing that it's not the original, that it's some sort of retro throwback, but you can get it on eBay for $6.25, and it has fast shipping. So hey,
I don't think so.
But two of my more modern beloved flavors are the Poppin' Jalapeno. It mimics the flavors of jalapeno poppers with the cheese and the batter.
Jalapeno's good.
Super good. And I really like the buffalo and ranch combination. Like they got the duo bags where you got two flavors in one. If you munch them just right, it's delicious. I'm down with it. Doritos are top of my chip and snack list on many occasions.
So I just looked up obscure Doritos. There's some good ones. There's roasted turkey. These are all over the world, obviously.
Yes.
Yuzu flavored.
All right. Interesting.
Let's see here. Black pepper jack, which I feel like I've had that. It's like a gray. I think they came out with that here. Salsa verde. I've had that one. That's actually pretty good. The green package.
Yep.
Let's see here. Well, you got the original, and then these are the ones you're talking about. They're called collisions. They're
Yeah, the collisions are great.
slash like hot wings and blue cheese. That's one of them. And then what about Jacked? Have you had Jacked Doritos?
Jacked ones are good because they're a thicker cut and they're big. So like they're it's supposed to be like Doritos on steroids.
All right, well there you go. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. There's
The
one.
other one I like just every now and then when I'm feeling a little hairy, it's the Dinamitas. And I get made fun of on how I say
Oh
it.
yeah.
But it's basically a rolled up Dorito. So we're talking about 420 day today, and I'm rolling something up. It's basically a Dorito that's rolled into a tube in a cigar style. They're super vibrant red. There's no way that color ever occurred in nature.
It's red dye number 5.
Yeah, it's definitely intense, but there is something delicious about the really hot Dinamitas in the bright green bag. They're called Chili Limon, and I love them.
Oh yeah. What about Jumpin' Jack? Do you remember this one? Jumpin' Jack Dorito?
I don't remember that one.
Jumpin' Jack cheese. All right. How about Taki? Where do you draw the line on the hot Takis?
I haven't converted to Takis though.
The Taki is like, I mean, it's crunchy, it's thick. It's not like a Dorito. It is like a rolled up, but
I haven't been able to convert.
So I haven't eaten Takis, but I've always thought of them more as like the really crunchy Cheetos, the really skinny Cheetos.
And they're super spicy though too. That's the other thing.
Right. Yeah.
What else is on your list, Jason?
All right, so if we're moving right along, other things on the Indy 88 list. They talk about brownies. So theirs are called Vachon brownies. That's next on the list, Vachon. But I can appreciate that. I'm a Little Debbie brownie kind of guy. And back in the day, Little Debbie's had the peanuts on top with that little fudge coating. But I moved forward in time, and I love the cosmic brownies with the little candy chips on there, like little chocolate candy chips on top of the brownie.
Those are surprisingly cheap. Like to buy they have them at 99-cent store.
Oh yeah, they do.
It's crazy. Like they're super cheap. It's. I mean, I get it. It's at its core, it's sugar and the little.
My grandfather. Part of it is nostalgia for me though, because my grandfather used to have a little tin on the cabinet next to his chair in the kitchen, and it was Grandpa's chair. Right? Nobody sat in Grandpa's chair during mealtime. It was always his designated space. But on the cabinet, he had an old school Christmas tin full of snacks. He had like the peanut butter cheddar crackers. He had oatmeal cream pies. And he also had Little Debbie brownies. And so I used to sneak in there and grab snacks occasionally after school.
My equivalent of that is Hostess chocolate cupcake, the 2-pack. I don't know
Yes.
if you know.
Did you peel the frosting off?
Yep, peeled it off, and that was my equivalent. They had variations, they had different flavors, but the original just black with the white little lines on it.
So we're entering that realm a little bit in terms of like snack cakes. I think snack cakes, they're not on this particular list, but snack cakes definitely seem like a high weed-focused kind of treat for me as well. Curtis, what's your take on Swiss cake rolls versus ho-hos? So you got ho-ho or you got the Little Debbie Swiss cake roll?
Swiss cake rolls.
Yes.
Right, because there's not enough frosting.
Geographical,
There's not
definitely.
enough frosting in the cupcakes and the ho-ho.
This
Well,
is very regional.
cake roll for me, the frost, like the outer coating, was a little more pliable, so I could actually peel that chocolate off in sheets. Versus the ho, which is
Roll it out.
the Swiss roll, the Swiss cake roll had a more pliable chocolate coating than the ho. Ho was a little more crackly, like you couldn't stretch it in the same way.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is regional, but I think we didn't get the Swiss roll, and the same way you guys didn't get the Hostess ho. I feel like the the Hostess was huge out here. Like it was.
Hostess was big in the Chicago area too, and that's where I grew up at. So it was competing Little Debbie versus ho.
Okay, we didn't. Little Debbie was obsolete over here. Like it was non-existent.
But the Swiss roll and the ding dong, or no, wait, maybe it was the ho ho and the ding dong. Do you know the ding dong?
The ding dong was the round one.
It was like a hockey
foil.
Isn't that a ho ho?
The
ho ho was the tube.
Tube.
Oh, I was
all the same
thinking
ingredient, but just packaged differently.
Exactly.
I thought the ho ho was the cupcake thing.
They were literally the Taco Bell. They were the Taco Bell of desserts. It was like just package it differently. It's the same shit.
Exactly.
It's round. Or it's
at one point, they also had the Devil's Food Zingers, which was basically like cupcake base or the ho ho base chocolate cake, like coated with a little fudge icing, and then that's a completely different dessert.
Oh man. So we were Little Debbie was not in the picture. I mean, Hostess just dominated out here. And I grew up in a liquor store, so one of my favorite days to be at the store was when the Hostess guy came to restock. And I mean, we're talking, this is back in the day. They had a Hostess like rack, like that was their
they
shit.
Transport them appropriately, right? They got a full bread rack with this Hostess.
The Hostess rack, like that was Hostess. You can't put anybody else's stuff on it. So that was my favorite day because the guy would always give me some like a little treat for me, one of the cupcakes or one of the Twinkies or whatever. And he had the fresh ones. The date was like it was like primo shit. Like this is.
So are you going white snowball or pink snowball?
Man, Snowball was. I can go either way on Snowball. I can live without it on the Snowball, even though I like the marshmallowy. I don't know. Snowball, cupcake was the shit.
Jason, what are you?
It depends on the day. No, I'm with Joey. I like it. I can only do one every couple of months because I like that chewiness of the marshmallow, and there's something nice about it. But I'm not super big on dried coconut. At some point, for me, it becomes a little overwhelming.
So this opens up a whole nother line of questioning, Jason. You say you can only have one every couple of months. When was the last time you had one?
When's the last time I got a Snowball?
It's been a few months. In terms of like loading up though, I am definitely a Hostess guy, like you were saying. I used to also do the donuts. I love
donuts.
Dude, lunchtime in high school, we used to stock up at the gas station. We'd grab all kinds of stuff. I'm also a coffee cake guy for the Hostess. I think they did a really nice job.
Oh, the little coffee cakes, yeah.
Square coffee cakes, man. Those are pretty tasty.
Underrated, for sure. Underrated Hostess item.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think do you remember when Hostess went out of business and there was like Twinkies were going for like $10 a Twinkie?
I felt like the like Woody Harrelson in Zombieland, where he was on a mission and a journey just to find Twinkies.
Was it Twinkies? Is that what?
No, the whole Hostess brand went out of business, and then it was saved by Bimbo, which is the funniest name for any company. But
now they've got of course, now they've been purchased. There's all kinds of variations of Twinkie.
Yeah. Well, Bimbo was always the Spanish version of like they had a Twinkie, they had all the versions of it, but it wasn't quite the same. And then they ended up buying Hostess. But anyway, I just remember Twinkies. People were selling Twinkies on eBay, like it was.
Right, $10 Twinkies.
Plus, how long do Twinkies last? Supposedly forever.
Forever.
A long time.
They do have an expiration date on it, but I believe that's mandated by law. Federal.
That's a suggestion.
There's something satisfying, especially if you've had one for a long time. There's something really just comforting and relaxing about biting into a Twinkie.
Right, I agree with you, definitely.
Yeah.
Sorry. So next on the list, now that we've hostessed everyone out,
Yeah.
they're going specific with brand, but I'm just gonna generic and say ramen noodles. Cup of noodles, ramen noodles.
Savory. You're going savory.
Going safe, going nice and easy entry, easy, simple ramen noodles makes sense.
I like
Right?
that.
Because if you got these days a unitasker water boiler like I've got a little hot pot, you push the button and in a few minutes it's boiling water and you go, man, all right, and you pour the water in the cup and then you let it sit there. You're like, oh God, how long is it gonna be? I'm so hungry. But in only like 2.5 minutes, you got a cup of noodles and you're ready to go.
All right. So my question for you and for both of you is actually that I under pour the water because I want it slightly saltier. I don't want as much broth, although I enjoy the broth. I just don't want the full 2 cups. I go 1.5 cups and then I call it good.
I have to agree with that.
I'm on board with that. I've got, especially with the cup style, I've got a little visual marker slightly below the line that I know when I get to that, I'm stopping, and I seal it. So I put a little hot water around the rim and I seal the paper to hold in the steam.
Oh, so you're doing like the you're doing the cup of soup kind of thing.
Actual
Yeah, I've got both, depending on, because I've got a couple of recipes where you leverage ramen noodles in the dish.
Mm-hmm.
And in those regards, I keep the seasoning packet back because I don't need it for the, like one of them's called pancetta. My dad used to make it. It was chicken and vegetables with a broth. So what ended up happening the other day is I'm scouring the cabinet because I was running low on groceries and all this isolation and shelter in place we got going on. Like, fuck, what am I going to eat, man? Shit. And I looked in. I was like, oh. I had some leftover quinoa. I hadn't been cooked yet. And I had an Oriental seasoning packet for my ramen noodles left over. And it was freaking delicious, man. Simple water, quinoa, and the seasoning packet while it's boiling. The quinoa tasted amazing.
Jason, did you know that the cup of noodles, the packaging that it comes with, you're actually supposed to put it back to then hold the lid in place?
I was not aware of that.
This is one of those, like, how old were you when you found out? I just found out this year.
41, I just now know.
So if you supposedly you take it apart, do your thing, put it back, it sits there and holds your lid in place.
Oh, that makes
all built in. Everything's built in. Everything's there for you.
It's like the components of the universe just came back together all of a sudden. It makes sense.
Okay, so I feel like we're in that scene in Animal House where they're all smoking weed and they're like, wait, our universe could be an atom inside an atom.
Yeah, I'm definitely blown away right now.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things is when you see the by the way, this is how you're supposed to use this. So you're like, oh, shit, that's pretty good. So cup of noodles was one of them. It was like, yeah, it's already built in for you.
That's awesome.
I know.
Let's slide down a little bit. So they do reference mini donuts, but I'm going to jump down to this one because I think it is going to be a great conversation piece. If you're ever in a car being driven around after you're getting high, one of the recommendations is the McGangbang. Now, for those of you who are not aware, the McGangbang is a Mickey D's treat, and it's a couple of sandwiches smashed together. Basically, it's a cheeseburger with a chicken patty sandwich and a triple-decker kind of stack.
That actually sounds good.
It looks amazing, and there's a big bite taken out of the sandwich, but it still looks really good.
So it's cheeseburger, the chicken patty, not the bread.
Yeah, so it's basically a chicken sandwich and cheeseburger sandwich smashed together. So you got bun, lettuce, mayo, chicken patty, bun, mustard, ketchup, onion, hamburger, cheese, and pickle.
Oh, shit. Okay.
That's good.
The name just kind of throws me off.
And can you order it like that if you pull up to the drive?
Yeah, I would like a gangbanger, please.
I have heard of I've heard of it before, and I've seen it on the website now, and I'm like, maybe I should.
This is no 4x4, right? This is
This is off. This is not even off the menu or on the menu or anywhere in the building. So you have to make it yourself, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you put it together yourself.
I feel like we should all go through the drive-through at McDonald's and try it and see what they say.
Okay, I was thinking this was an off-menu item that you ordered, and then they charge you $400, and you get up to the window, and then they just spit in your face, and then you drive on.
They're like, yeah, jackass. Yeah. I'm gonna look it up now. Let's see the McGangbang.
While you're doing that, I'm looking at these snacks, and some of these come to mind. What are your feelings on bugles?
Yes.
Nah, I'm not nah.
All right.
The best part about bugles, though, is putting them on your finger. And
Well, there is that, and I can see that in an altered state, doing that would be sort of this Beetlejuice kind of I've got shrimp on my finger thing. Yeah, that could be okay.
So I'm looking at also discontinued snack foods. Mr. T cereal. I don't remember that one. And
This is so crazy. So hold on with the Mr. T thing, because I just saw a picture of Gary Coleman and Mr. T, but Gary Coleman, did you see this too?
No.
What in the world's happening? So Gary Coleman is standing on a chair, so he's the same height, but Gary Coleman has the wig and the Mr. T thing on. So this is full 1980s different strokes TV show. Anyway, and then I was just thinking, oh my God, how did I watch this show? And how was this okay that this was on TV? Gary Coleman.
I watched that show. We lost Jason. I don't know if you lost Jason.
I had to I stopped my video. I didn't want you guys to see me get out of my chair for more beer.
That's all right. Jason, where do you stand on the vote flavored Lay's? Okay, they had sriracha, they had chicken and waffles, and they had cheesy garlic bread. That was the last ones. Do you remember that?
Okay, so
I had the siracha. I remember that one.
Sriracha's good. I'm on board. I'm more in the Ruffles direction though, where I really like the Canadian. What the hell was that one called? It was like basically all the flavors together. But in the Ruffles direction, they also have the cheese stick, basically cheese stick marinara one. That is an amazing chip too. It tastes just like fried cheese sticks dipped in marinara sauce.
On the gross level, cappuccino flavored Lay's. I don't know if I'll try that. Cheddar bacon mac and cheese Lay's. That sounds good.
That sounds amazing.
That sounds very stoner. Wasabi ginger kettle cooked. That would probably. I'm a kettle cooked fan. Just want to say right now.
I'm big on kettle as well, and in the kettle brand, the wasabi ranch are really delicious.
Oh.
Okay, wasabi ranch.
And if you want to go overseas, which we have a great store here in Ventura for that kind of stuff with Rosie Lee Imports, Lay's has. And I don't think it's actually Lay's as the brand name overseas in England and that. But
is it Walker's? Walker's? I'm looking at
Walker's, right? Prawn cocktail. They've got a rotisserie chicken version. What was the other one I had the other day? They've got some really cool obscure ones as well.
Also, I don't remember the name of it right now, but the Japanese shrimp, it's like basically a shrimp chip. It's like ground shrimp into a chip. Those are delicious. Have you had these?
No, I haven't had those. I did have a pheasant flavored chip one time from England. That was pretty cool. Roast pheasant.
It tastes like gamey chicken.
It did, and I also had a sausage and cheddar, which was really cool.
All right,
We go for a Scotch egg Dorito.
Scotch egg Dorito would be good.
I go for a Scotch egg in general right now.
Well, savory foods savory food munchies. Since we're talking about it, what else do you think?
Savory. Well. The next on this list is actually what I had the other day because I was wandering around Vaughn's, grabbing a couple items that weren't available at Trader Joe's. I wanted to make a chicken rice casserole, and they didn't have wild rice or cream mushroom soup anywhere. And I started looking at the shelf. I'm like, why not? I haven't had this since I was a kid. Why not? Of all times, this is the perfect time. And I bought a box of Kraft macaroni and cheese.
All right. It's funny you say that because I don't know if this is real, but there's a Kraft Oreo.
What does that mean?
Kraft macaroni.
Kraft macaroni. The cheese from the Kraft macaroni has an Oreo.
Okay, so
again, I don't know if this is real.
What does that even mean? I'm stunned. I can't even speak right now. What is that? What website are you looking at? I gotta check this out.
So while he's checking this out, I find it crazy that you have gone whatever length of time you thought was amazing without having Kraft macaroni and cheese. Joby,
I was blown away myself.
Do your girls eat Kraft? Do they eat mac and cheese?
They do, but I will say my girls having the luxury, I'll call it, of trying mac and cheese at restaurants. They are mac and cheese aficionados now.
Yeah, you get really spoiled by eating better than Kraft.
They've surpassed Kraft now. I'm like, this is bullshit.
But the thing is like I don't think it's almost like comparing hot dogs to bratwurst
I agree.
from my point of view. And
That's
so
I would tell you, I was totally in heaven when I started eating it, though. Honestly, when it came off the stove, I almost didn't put it into a bowl. I just started eating it out of the pot. I was like, why have I waited so long to go back to you?
okay, so do you prefer less milk or more milk?
Well, you know what? For an
You didn't put
embarrassing,
milk in it, did you? You didn't put
a very embarrassing
Water.
disclosure, I got home and I forgot about needing the milk. But I did have Trader Joe's Greek yogurt in the fridge, and it was a perfect substitute. It worked just as well because all you really need is a dairy component to liquefy and mix the cheese powder into. You just want to create a cheesy substance, and it was perfect.
Yeah, I've done Kraft mac and cheese with heavy cream. I have done it with just butter. I have done it with
fancy on us.
with whole milk, but I find that there's a spot where it's just the right amount of soupiness, and then there's a half a teaspoon or a quarter teaspoon more, then it's way too soupy.
I just had this like image of Curtis in the kitchen, similar to Friday when he's getting ready to dump the noodles out, or in that case, getting ready to dump the cereal in the garbage. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Ain't no milk in the fridge." Like, better put some water on that shit.
Right. Well, and I have used water when you go to the fridge and you realize you don't have it, but then I end up putting in. I don't rinse. I don't do the.
You don't drain the noodles.
Right, I don't drain them as much, and then I just put in the butter. But
I apologize for all the tech. There, I finally got the image to you guys.
Coming through. I want to check it out. So now the image for the Kraft macaroni and cheese Oreos is coming through. Next on this list for Indy88.com, top 10 all-time munchies to eat when you're high. CTC, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
All right, that's pretty fucking good cereal, man. That is.
There's nothing like drinking the milk when the bowl is like,
That's good shit. And that cereal is so good it inspired a shot. I mean, there's a shot named after it. So
yeah, that was my go-to sugar cereal forever. And I would still do it, except for I can eat a whole box of that in the morning.
do you think there's
no stopping when you eat that?
when you get going, it's like Pringles. Once you stop, you can't pop. But do you think the creators of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Golden Grams were related? Do you think they were family members? Because they're very similar. They are very similar.
Golden Grams is similar. I think they were different companies though.
Except for Golden Grams is shit, and
It's like, but maybe like family member wise, it was like left Twix and right Twix, where like they were.
right.
I think
twins. This is the really fun and beautiful twin, and this is the frumpy one. Right. Absolutely.
I mean, Cinnamon Toast Crunch is still alive and well. My daughters love it.
Oh yeah.
There's numerous
Nothing
variations.
makes me happier than seeing them eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Like,
And just like the vast entitlement of the world that we are these days, we couldn't just be happy with Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Now there's variations of Cinnamon Toast
there
Crunch.
is. In fact, I saw something about French Toast Crunch, which was a
Yes.
Do you remember this? I don't remember that one.
I just did a Google search to bring it up, what the variations were. I typed in 3 letters, and it autofilled it to Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's how
There's a churros as well. There's a churros version.
with the churros one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, if where do you guys stand on Cap'n Crunch?
Nah.
I like the
I love
flavor.
the mouth.
I love the crunch, but it needs to
Fills
cut
your
up.
mouth. That's part of eating it, is that it just tears up the roof of your mouth. Like,
Yeah, I'm not on board with that because of
You guys, do you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I have not.
Oh, okay, never mind.
That's
One of the characters does a blog and he talks about mouthfeel, and so that's why it was, because that was
that was the moment where Curtis basically said, "Do you guys watch this?" And when we both said no, he's like, "Oh, I don't either.
No, I watch it. Oh, believe me.
All right, so coming off of Easter the way we just did, with yesterday being the Orthodox Easter and Sunday ago being normal Easter, if you will.
Easter.
There you go, Curtis. Next on the list was mini eggs, Cadbury mini eggs, which are
those
one of my favorites.
I can only imagine being high eating those. That's, man.
I already crushed a couple.
Now,
of
those have a weird texture too, though. Let's not downplay it. They have a weird texture when you bite it.
Those are the kind of thing that once I open the bag, if you ask for one, that's probably all you're getting. I don't want to share my mini eggs.
Those are really good.
And you're talking the ones with the Cadbury egg where the Easter bunny.
No, these are just the little eggs of chocolate.
It's a bag of little eggs, and they have a hard candy shell. That's what's it makes them. When you eat them, it's got a weird little.
Oh, I love the crunch. I love the chocolate.
Scooby, it's called wax.
It probably is wax. Yeah, candy coating.
Edible wax.
Edible wax. Yeah.
All right, so shifting gears for a second, because you were mentioning, Curtis, the innards, and you were actually talking about the Cadbury cream egg.
Oh yeah.
Are you cream egg or are you caramel egg?
Not a fan of those. I don't like that consistency, that gooey.
I grew up with cream eggs, and I grew to not like them because of there's like a grittiness to the center.
Mm-hmm.
I am hardcore caramel egg guy these days.
I have not had the caramel.
Oh, it's just
so hard. Those are so hard to eat because of the size, and so biting it, it's just going to.
Don't bite it. Just put the whole thing in your mouth and
Wait,
collapse.
no, are you talking like the egg-sized ones?
Yes. Like a snake, just unhinge and put the whole thing in your mouth.
I don't know if I can do that.
I don't know. For me, it's peanut butter egg. How many ways can you make Reese's different shapes and sizes?
No. But there's something about the peanut butter egg. There is.
It's not the same kind of peanut butter. It's so dry and gritty.
Everybody says it's different.
No. The only one that compares to it is the Halloween peanut butter cup. But otherwise,
chocolate. This has actually got the chocolate and the peanut butter, right?
Right. It just has the right. It has the right.
Honestly, I think it's the same shit they repackage for Halloween, Christmas. They do a Christmas peanut butter tree. And then they do it again for Valentine's Day. They do
just like Hostess, like we were talking earlier. It's the same ingredients, just in different formats.
Right. But they found but some of those they have the perfect ratio of chocolate to the peanut butter. So like for the Halloween, the bats. And then for the eggs, that's still a thin shell. And even the peanut butter cups, while I like those, the bottom has too much chocolate.
All right.
Is there candy on that list, Jason, by any chance? Because I'm thinking.
Not on the list I was looking at from Indie88.com. There are some other lists out there depending on what you subscribe to.
Munchy candy, I gotta think, man.
Yeah, because
you gotta go for volume on this one.
I've got beer drinkers. I've got a candy. Beer drinkers, not weed smokers. Let's think about the most obscure item you've made while drunk.
Was that the most obscure item you've cooked?
Made, eaten, it doesn't matter. I do remember one time being really drunk and making chili for the people at my apartment, though.
All right. Was that obscure?
It wasn't obscure. It's just amazing that I came out with a nice batch of chili, considering that we were all pretty damn tough.
All right, Curtis. I see where you're going.
All right.
I do enjoy these obscure Kit Kats. Sorry.
So I do need hit candy just before we go to what we've prepared, because my list is short and it's microwave Totino's or microwave pizza. So
yeah, I haven't had a good Totino's pizza roll in forever, and I can just I'm salivating right now thinking about Totino's and whatever addiction you think is appropriate to go with Totino's.
Wait, can we not forget about the bigger Tostino? The Hot Pocket.
Hot Pocket.
The pepperoni pizza Hot Pocket, man.
Meatball mozzarella, dude. That's my go-to.
Where one part of it is cold and the other part it burns the shit out of your mouth, and you don't know.
The ends are always super hot in the middle.
With that weird radioactive little sleeve that you put it in.
Right.
Great.
And if you haven't heard Jim Gaffigan, then you need to do yourself a favor. Google Jim Gaffigan and Hot Pocket right now and watch the whole skit. Right. So before we go to savory, though, I have one candy item to add to this, since it didn't come up, was Kit Kat.
Kit Kat, interesting.
Kit Kat's good. I like Kit Kat.
And it was mostly because it's the same as what we were talking about before. Is we have the one Kit Kat in America.
We got a couple of
them. We have some like white chocolate bullshit and so.
Yeah, it's just a whiter version of Kit Kat. Is all it is. So but
layered Kit Kats now, don't they? Like with caramel in them and stuff.
Right. So yeah.
I think what Curtis is saying though is they're just different versions of chocolate.
All right, I got you. All right.
So anyway, there's one that I really, really like is green tea, and I can imagine myself sitting down with green tea Kit Kats. As I was scrolling through these, I see pumpkin pudding Kit Kats, baked sweet potato Kit Kat. That sounds pretty awesome.
I'm super intrigued by number 9, Curtis.
What's that?
super intrigued by number 9. If we could jump ahead for a second,
Right? Rum
Oh,
raisin.
rum raisin, yeah.
I can see that.
And then
Unclear who actually enjoys rum raisin flavor.
well, and I do like that there's a snifter of rum on the packaging.
But why is it that Kit Kat? What I don't understand it because I feel like Kit Kat is American. Is it not? I'm not trying. This isn't about America versus the world. But why is it that Kit Kat has all these flavors?
Everything is America versus the world.
Why is it that Kit Kat has these flavors in other countries? I don't understand.
Why is it that any candy or any food company allows these super unusual, unique, and delicious food?
Apple pie sounds delicious. Number 3, apple pie. Like it has. What's more American than apple pie?
Right.
So what is it about candies that like Europe and Asia gets like amazing flavors of our candies? And I say our candy. Maybe they're not our candies. Maybe they were
the world's candies to begin with. But what defines pumpkin pudding? That's what I want to understand. What's the difference between just pumpkin flavored versus pumpkin pudding?
Well,
Curtis, how many have you tried? I've tried the green tea. I agree, it's good.
No, actually, I've had the cookies and cream and the green tea. But scrolling down, I don't think I've had any of these. I've had.
Some of these I don't think are available in the States.
There was a. I know Rocket Fizz, but there was also a place in the Thousand Oaks Mall. That was a really nice candy shop, and they had a lot of these Kit Kats. We bought some there.
Shinsu apple sounds very refined and almost like prestigious.
Well, but one of the things, so what is, as Jason's saying that, as you look through this list, which is on mental floss, and if you do mental floss, weird Kit Kat flavors, you know, a lot of these are Japanese.
Yeah, that's.
You look through them, and the one that I'm looking at, which was number 10, and I'm always intrigued by wasabi because I like the idea of it, and there are some things that I really love wasabi with. I would try this, the wasabi Kit Kat.
Also, let's pay attention to this. Interestingly, they're the size of it, and they're in like packages.
Right.
Right? So they're like, the one I got, I remember, was like a bag, and it had a bunch of little individual ones in it. It's not like a bar that you get.
Sweet bean jelly sounds a little obscure too, because I think.
Well, sweet bean, that's like a big candy, like red bean jelly candies.
Mm-hmm. Joe, do you remember what you signed me up for a while back? It didn't have Kit Kats. I don't think it had these big of brand names.
I had like World Snacks and stuff.
Yeah, Snack Scanner. That was Munch Pack. That was what it was called.
Oh, Curtis, by the way, highly recommend if you want to get surprised every month. Shout out to Munch Pack out there.
Yeah, those cats, they sent me some cool stuff. And what was nice about it is it had a little app. You can't see it, of course. Freaking.
It's like a box of the month club.
Yeah, but what was cool is you could scan the items by UPC that were in the Munch Pack box that month. If you really liked it, you could rate it. You could find out more details about it and how to get bigger pack size.
These are very.
I want to know how to get a bigger pack size.
Yeah.
I didn't say bigger package size, just pack size.
Cookies and cream, like some of these, just I think it's funny that they're Japanese flavors.
Right.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Kit Kat. I don't know the story. Where was Kit? Maybe Japanese really love, in Japan they really love Kit Kat, whatever it is. But I know there's some. So if I had one candy to eat every time I was stoned, it would be Violet Crumble, the real one from Australia. Have you had this?
Yes.
It is literally honeycomb with chocolate over it. If you find one right now, it's like you can find it sometimes at Rocket Fizz. It's like $6 for one bar.
So again, just to go back to my previous shout,
Violet Crumble.
Miss Suzanne at Rosie Liam has a plethora of Violet Crumbles.
I will be stopping by and seeing her.
Talk to Filter Suzanne; they'll hook you up.
Violet Crumble is, I don't know, I just love it. It's a combination of honeycomb and chocolate.
You know how to, making honeycomb is actually really simplistic. Actually, there's only a few things you need. You need sugar, syrup, or honey, and baking soda.
Chris, these are not real honeycombs that are in the Violet Crumble.
All you need is a beehive and a smoker and the protective gear.
Well, we got the protective gear these days with all the isolation.
PPE.
I got my PPE mask. I don't think that's keeping bugs from coming in.
Here, Okay. Do we have time? Are we going to go into a PPE? Like, did you guys make a mask, get a mask, buy a mask, have a mask for?
Yeah, we already have it. But real quick, Jason, I just, through the magic of the internet, learned that Crunchy, literally with almost the same font,
Yep,
is the English alternative to Violet Crumble.
Yeah. So
I did not know that. I've seen Crunchy and not. I just passed by.
asked Suzanne about that the other day when I was in the shop because I was buying some candy to send back to my folks in Indiana for their birthdays, and she described to me the difference between Crunchy and the Violet Crumble, and she's a Violet Crumble person. Even though she's got British roots and English roots, she's an Australian Violet Crumble favorite.
Curtis, you got to try. I mean, here's the thing. I don't want to talk it up because some people might not like it. The consistency of it when you bite it is very, I don't know how to describe it.
I love how it gets chewy though, and like,
yeah,
there's not a melty thing to it, but it gets chewy. Curtis, you got to get on it.
All right.
That's my quarantine candy. If I could have one candy forever, it'd be Violet Crumble.
All right.
I don't know if it'd be the last one.
So I want to take a break right now for two reasons. One, that I've got to refill, and the other reason that I've got to unfill. And so then we can come back and finish up our talk here.
All right.
When we come back, I'd like to encourage you both to show off your quarantine masks.
I will.
Because I've got one, and I want to, yeah.
All right. We can do that. Jason, just a quick teaser. Is it made out of a thong or a bra?
It is not, but when I described to my dad what I was doing, he's like, wait, did you say jockstrap? Like,
TikTok has ruined my life. I'm sorry. We will be back in just a few minutes.
You're listening to Happy Hour.
All right, welcome back to Happy Hour. As you can see, we are changing. Oh, damn it! Joey didn't put his on.
I don't have mine. Mine's being washed, but here's mine.
I wanted to lead in with, hello, Clarice.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'm going to have an old friend for dinner. As I forgot my glasses, if you can see that really closely.
Curtis wins for the most high-tech actual mask. Like, that is an actual mask.
Being an artist who does a lot of sanding and things.
Oh, yeah.
I'm super low-tech.
Yeah, mine is borrowed from a 8-year-old. It is one of, I don't know, it's like a scarf thing. Anyway, you just pull it over.
Right.
What's nice about it is you can go all the way around your head. But it says Double Dare and Super Bowl on it. So everybody's looking at me like, what the fuck is that? It's like, hey, mine's comfortable. But this is the new work outfit. Black gloves, a Double Dare mask, and a hat.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Yeah, and in honor, I posted a couple times. I don't have the rights to it, as you said, I got to say. But I keep playing in the background, Future's Mask Off, because that's kind of our life these days. We got to walk outside.
Mask on.
So mine is actually made from socks. I only wore a couple times. I was going to the grocery store. I'm like, fuck, I don't have a mask. Like, all the masks I wore during the fire material we threw out. Where are my masks? So there's this lady speaking in Spanish on Facebook you can find right now where it shows how to make masks.
Awesome.
In sock, and there's a little paper towel in the middle to capture any additional like moisture droplets that may go through. Super simple. So to go get food, I made a food mask.
I love it. Yeah, it's funny to interact with people when you both have masks on because the whole expression, everything's gone. So you're just like trying to figure out, reading each other like.
You have to smile with your eyes.
So one of the things that my wife and I do, I mean, now because neither of us have commutes, and I don't have to go to Northridge, so I'm not leaving at 6 o'clock in the morning generally just to beat the commute. We run now. Now we can run every day, and so generally run 5 or 6 days a week. And we don't wear masks because at 5:30, at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's nobody out there. But on the weekends, we do longer runs, and we won't leave until 7. We'll finish around 9, somewhere in there, and we'll start to see couples walking around with masks on, or individuals just all by themselves out in the middle of nowhere wearing a mask.
You never know, Curtis. It might be floating in the air.
I have a problem with it. Or it's almost, for me, it's almost as ridiculous as driving anywhere. Now, mind you, this is yesterday was the first time that I'd driven anywhere in at least 2 weeks, and I hadn't been into Camarillo in 3 weeks since then. But seeing people in their cars with their masks on,
asinine.
Okay, I agree that's asinine. Do you think for a second that perhaps they even forgot maybe they have it on? That was my theory first.
No.
I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt until
That's my theory for a second.
Gloves and the goggles and a mask.
Okay, gloves. This will be our rant, our ending rant, because gloves is the most misused item of all of this.
Right.
The whole point of gloves is to not cross-contaminate. So if you wear your gloves inside the store, touch all the shit in the store, take the gloves in your car and touch all your shit in your car, you've now contaminated.
Having been in the restaurant industry, have you ever been to a restaurant where someone washed their gloves while they were wearing them? And then
gloves are the most misused item in all of this.
So Joby, that is. I'm going to cut that section out and put it as a PSA. Is that absolutely? If you bring those gloves to your car and on the inside of your car, you have just contaminated.
That shit in your car. You're supposed to take it off. I'm not saying throw it away in the thing, but at least put it inside out. Do something with it, but don't. Yeah, right. I think people
something with it.
So I just took mine off, but for those of you who, so printmakers, artists know this because you can reuse these gloves. So you just turn them back out and go, right? And then they blow out and you put your hands back in them. But when you do this, you have the one glove, you pull it off like this, and then you grab underneath here and then you pull it off and then you toss them. That's it.
Yeah.
And going back to what we were talking about before the break, just to wrap up our last segment, when you have your mask on, you can't enjoy your violet crumble. You can't get any snacks going.
Exactly.
And, like there was discussion about, as we started to lighten some of these restrictions, people can wear their masks to the restaurant, wear their mask while they're ordering at the restaurant, and then when your food comes, you take your mask off. And I'm just smacking my forehead going, what is happening right now? What kind of thought process is that?
Right.
Yeah.
So let me tell you about, it was probably 4 weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks ago even. I mean, this was starting
before all the shenanigans started?
No, it was starting to hit pretty serious at that point. But we went to, my daughter had come home from college. We were able to get her home right before everything, all the shit hit the fan. And we decided to go out to brunch, and we went to Cafe Nouveau.
Okay.
And when we walked in, they had these different bins. They had the regular, they had sanitized menus, and then they had the non-sanitized menus. And so they would bring the sanitized menu. You would go and sit down. That your waiter would not touch anything on your table. So there was no cross-contamination. And the only person that would touch things on your table were the busboys that would take those,
Or girls.
What's that?
Or girls.
I'm sorry. Right.
Busser is the
Here it happened to be busboys.
Remember, Joby, we're old. As we heard in the very beginning of this show, we're all very old. So.
The weed and the busboys and girls. So they would take those and then move them out. So that there was never any, and so people that were bringing our food never touched anything we touched. And so it was, like all of this it was this marvel, like they had thought about this. And certainly there are plenty of restaurants who have thought about this on how to keep things separated, the whole way through. But so the contamination of gloves and things are not an issue, but these are for the next 3, 6, 12 months that we're living through. These are the things as all of us open up, and we were talking before we went on. Ventura County parks are opening. Ventura City parks are not. California state parks are not open. But all of these, so there's all of this confusion all the way around. And back to Jason's point of wearing these masks all the way around, like when we get out of the car and we see people with a mask on, or if we're in Trader Joe's like I was yesterday, when somebody's talking to you, you don't know that they're talking to you.
I have no idea. There was a guy in Trader Joe's on Saturday with his mask around his neck walking around in the store.
He's ready. He's ready for action. He's ready.
But he was already in the store. I'm like, sir, I think you forgot a step. You crossed the threshold. You're supposed to raise it.
But so
It's
so
not
my
an accessory.
right. So my son's birthday was a couple days ago. My daughter's birthday is in a couple days, and we always do breakfast things with them, right? And so trying to figure out something new, something different that we can do. So we decided that we would call into Old New York Deli Bagel. Is that right? Old New York?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Here in Camarillo. So actually I did the app purchase and everything else, and I'm in there, but I have to wait in line with everyone 6 feet away. And then there's this guy in front of me who is making an order there at the counter. And I'm like, I didn't know you could still do that. I thought you still had to do.
Always that person.
Right. But this is the best part, is she's explaining to him, no, we don't have these things anymore. And he pulls his mask down and says, I can't hear you. What was that again? And then I'm like, what did I just see? Like over the sneeze shield and everything. What?
That's fantastic.
Oh, don't do that.
Sir, can you please go outside and order on your phone and then come back inside and pick it up? Please, thank you. That's what everybody else is doing.
Right.
Yeah, so this is interesting. I'll keep it short, but now that I've been back in the takeout world, I think it's sort of that when credit card, debit card became popular and you had that transition, or like when checks started phasing out, and if you've ever been at the supermarket and somebody's writing a check in front of you, it was like speeches to a halt. The new version of that is the person ordering at the counter still, when everything says, please order ahead of time, please contactless, don't touch anything, just order it and wait outside. Yep. The new version of that person is I'm going to order at the counter.
There may have been a person doing that recently. I went into another craft beer partner the other day to get some of my beer. And me and the guy in front of me waiting in our, hey, we ordered ahead of time, just give us our products, we can get out of here. And the other lady was standing there looking up at the menu of beer going, maybe I should get that one. And I'm like, just forget it, lady. She had no mask on. She had no precautions. It's like she just wandered off the street, oblivious to what was happening in the world around her.
There is going to be that person. That's the new check right.
And that leads me to, as we get ready to close, that little sprinkling of me that says, you know what? And again, disclosure, having family members in the medical industry out in the Midwest who are struggling with the impact of this virus and the seriousness of it, not trying to make too much light of it, but at the same time going, what if we just released everyone to their own devices? How would we fare? Those individuals who decide, I'm just going to wander in off the street and act like nothing's going on and order at the counter. You know what? What is your 50-50 shot right now with the virus? How are you going to come out of this?
I think that's an excellent Darwin episode.
Yes.
Darwin Awards episode.
Yeah. I did, Jason, you'll appreciate this, both of you will, but I did have one lady who walked in and asked why nobody was sitting in the restaurant and if she could sit in the restaurant and order. Now, full disclosure, I think she wasn't all there. I actually really enjoyed talking to her because she said, is this all because of the virus? As he said, like, is this all because of the virus? And I'm like, yeah, there's not a restaurant in California that you could sit in right now. And she's like, wow. It's like newsflash. I'm like, I'm delivering this news to this lady. Like, I'm telling her.
Week 2, when everything was starting to really get into full swing, week 2, there was another unnamed restaurant in Ventura who decided, we have a way around this. We'll just position our high-top bar tables outside on the sidewalk 6 feet apart so that when you get your to-go food, your takeout, you can pop down at a table and enjoy it right here at our establishment.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I like the Darwin idea, but I also have family members in the medical field that they said that would actually not be a good experiment because it could,
No, my cousin right now, she's been super fired up the
it
past
could
couple
backfire on us.
She's a Michigan resident, and she got to experience and see firsthand all the protests and the impact to the medical community from their protests.
Yeah.
And she is not a happy camper right now. So I know we're trying to have some fun tonight, but we got to always have that little bit of PSA saying, take this seriously, gang.
Yeah.
If you want to keep your family members and yourself safe and be around for the long haul, take your precautions.
Change your gloves and put your mask on, damn it.
And I
Be well
won't,
stocked with Violet Crumble when you get home.
and I won't belabor this.
Actually,
And I won't belabor this point too much, but in 1918, there was a dip where everyone's like, hey, everything's great. And then it went way up high after that when everyone came out. So I want nothing more than to be in the Barrel House studios right now and doing all that. But we've got to take care of ourselves. Let's get this thing done. Definitely.
And if no one else is listening except our buddies Fritz and Suzanne, if you're out there in the ether right now listening to this show, please drop some Violet Crumbles and a nondescript package on Joby and Jason's doorstep.
yes.
We'll find a way to compensate you. We just want to wake up to Violet Crumble.
Right.
If they have online ordering, I am all over it tomorrow. I feel like that's a place you got to walk into. I'm sorry, I'm going to be that person tomorrow. Like perusing the aisles of.
Yeah, well, thankfully it's a small shop, and Suzanne has the proper precautions. She had her mask on when I walked in, so.
Excellent.
Right.
All right, gentlemen. It's the 420 episode has concluded.
And we definitely we went down some obscure snacky rolls.
Good rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Well, I could go for some cinnamon toast crunch, followed by Violet Crumble, followed by some chocolate cupcakes.
As we get ready to close, we were talking earlier about cereal and not having milk or making mac and cheese, Kraft mac and cheese without milk. If you didn't have something else to pour on your cinnamon toast crunch, could you use Jack Daniel's whiskey? Would that be a good combination, whiskey and CTC?
I would use Jack Daniel's apple whiskey, the new green label, and then it would be like almost like an Apple Jacks, which was a great cereal also, by the way.
Awesome.
Apple Jacks. I was a fan.
We can tell.
But yeah. Anyway, cinnamon toast crunch, Apple Jacks. I'm hungry now.
Well, it seems like it's a fair enough time to cut out then, so we can go get some Apple Jacks.
Time to raid the
Cinnamon
fridge.
Toast Crunch, perhaps some cinnamon bunches of oats, which is what I've been eating this week.
Is that the fake cinnamon toast crunch?
That sounds very healthy.
That's the adult version of cinnamon toast crunch.
It is. It lasts just a
Buy
little.
those for you, Curtis.
So here's the thing: is when I eat cinnamon bunches of oats, whatever it is, and crunch, I don't feel like I'm going to go into a diabetic coma like 30 seconds after I've taken my first bite. So I, as Jason, you're talking about what, you were 41? What did you say, 40?
41.
So as a 49-year-old, wait, how old am I? What year is this? Yeah.
That just means right there, the weed and how old am I? Definitely. Yeah.
I have to watch that sugar intake.
I gotta take my back pills.
I think this episode should be called "The Weed" in quotation.
Fair enough. Tomorrow, when it's posted, it will be The Weed. Happy hour, The Weed.
Happy hour of the weed. All right,
Thank you very
gentlemen.
much.
Have a good
Night.
week.
Always a wonderful Monday.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll see you next
All
week.
right. So
Very
before
close.
I cut out here, I'm going to do some stop streaming. Everyone have a great evening, day, whatever time it is that you're watching.
Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. Happy Hour with Joby and Curtis.
All that good stuff. And we'll see you next week.
You're listening to Happy Hour.